Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Empowered Mind Show. My name is Sarah Asquith-Vallance. I'm a neuroscientist and a business consultant, and I work with educated and talented women to start and grow a knowledge-based online business using the brain science-backed techniques, and I also teach them how to train their brain for financial success. So today's topic is really important for anyone out there who is reaching for that six-figure plus mark in their business. In fact, it's important for every single entrepreneur out there, because today we are talking about imposter syndrome. Now, first of all, I'll start with what imposter syndrome isn't. So if you're feeling like you are wanting to give up, if you think this isn't really for me, you think, I don't think I can do this, I'm not made for this business world of being my own boss, that's not imposter syndrome. There is a big mindset shift that you do need to change, but it's not imposter syndrome. So what imposter syndrome actually is when you feel like you've reached a certain level of success, and then you start to think and feel, I'm not worthy of this. You're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're waiting to be called out as a fraud. And so, yeah, it can put you into a really bad mind state, I have to say. It really, really can. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm going to start with a little story today because it's about myself. And it wasn't only until relatively recently when I took a little step back from everything. We'd moved house and I'd been poorly, but things had turned a corner. And I really, during that time, I took a step back and I thought, I wonder what's going on, because I was repeating a pattern. Now, as a neuroscientist, as a neuro-entrepreneurship coach, I see this happening to my clients. And it wasn't until I stepped away that I actually realized that I was really struggling with imposter syndrome as well. So here's what it was. For a long, long time, well, as long as I have known, I've loved to help people, and particularly women, start and grow their businesses from the knowledge, the amazing knowledge and skills that they have. And so I've always actually had a business, another business that I run, not just helping and coaching other women. But I was noticing that every time I raised my prices and then more people came to work with me, I was kind of pedaling back. I was getting really scared. I was didn't even know I was doing it, but I would, somehow start to act differently. And what I would do is I would step away from my this business coaching, the Empowered Mind, and I would jump into the other business, which was great, but it wasn't on the same level because it was safe. It felt super safe. I wasn't charging anything like I do for this current business. And I came up with all sorts of stories. And this is the one thing we have to be careful of and you have to be aware of, is that you will start to tell yourself stories and you will start to do different things. So I would say, oh, I'm back into the other business because of Brexit. I'm back into the business because of COVID. And really, my brain was terrified. It was terrified that someone was going to call me out and say, hey, do you know what are you doing? What do you think you're doing charging this amount for your skills and knowledge? When there I was actually coaching people on it. And so I have to say, it happens to us all, even the neuroscientists, even the neuro-entrepreneurs of this world. It can happen to us all. So I was flip-flopping between the two businesses. And I really had to start getting a harness. And once I realized I was doing this, I could really start to focus down and I could really get things sorted and I could step past this imposter syndrome that I was struggling with. So today I'm going to grab my new brain. Give me 2 seconds. We're going to talk about what is going on within the brain. So I love my brand new brain. If you haven't met my brain yet, It's a brand new model I have, very colorful, and it's going to help us when we talk about things like imposter syndrome. So let's open it up. Here is obviously the outside, what you would see of the brain. This is the inside if you cut right down the center. Now, down in this area around here is a tiny area called the amygdala. Now, the amygdala is part of your limbic system, which is all linked with your emotions. So the amygdala deals with our memories and our emotions linked particularly to fear. So why is it that this is playing a big part when we come to imposter syndrome? Why is it that we either consciously feel that fear or subconsciously don't, but we self-sabotage? Why do we do this? Well, there's 3 things our brain wants us to do. Number 1 is it wants us to stay alive. Now, if we've been on this beautiful planet for any length of time, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, however long we have, and our brain says, do you know what? We don't need to change anything. Don't think about raising your prices. Don't think about that success. What I want to do is just keep you alive. And you have been alive and doing well so far. So let's not change anything. That's number 1. Number 2 is it just likes the balance. It likes just that homeostasis. Everything is running okay. And number 3 is it likes to be energy efficient. Our brain loves to be energy efficient. Now, us female entrepreneurs, we have ideas falling out of our heads every single day. However, our brain doesn't like that. Our brain wants to be energy efficient. Now, every time we start to come up with ideas, we start to train our brain for success, it kind of says, I'm getting tired here. Like I was working fine, okay, before you started this. And this is taking up far too much energy because we use a massive amount of energy, a massive amount of glucose in our brain when we are working and are in our zone of genius as entrepreneurs. And so for these top 3 things to be wobbled in any way, being an entrepreneur, what happens is we begin to feel fear here in the amygdala, right? Deep, deep in the brain. And exactly what happens is that we have a rush of chemicals. So every time you feel this, or whether you consciously or subconsciously feel this is what's happening. So we have some really great neurotransmitters, some really great chemicals in the brain, and they are called serotonin and dopamine. Now, they're the stuff that kind of like makes us really happy, and it's the kind of feel good when you've achieved something. It really starts to kind of kick in, and you're like, do you know what? I can do that again. But when we start to drop into imposter syndrome, we actually start to reduce those chemicals and we get cortisol, which is a stress chemical released. And that stress chemical goes straight to that zone and says, do you know what? Things are not in balance. So our dopamine and our serotonin shoot right down and our cortisol goes right up. Here's the thing when that happens is that you will not know, but subconsciously, you will present yourself to the world as if somebody who is not deserving of your success. You will present as somebody who, I'm not going to say necessarily as untrustworthy, but somebody who you'll get an energy. It'll be through the screen, it'll be in the writing, it'll be through an audio, and it'll just be something that's kind of off and you don't know. Exactly. You as a viewer can't put your finger on it. And you also, in the other side, as an entrepreneur who's struggling with it, won't necessarily realize that this is happening either. So what can we do about this? Because it's a massive, massive problem for many, many entrepreneurial women. And again, it does crop up at each stage of our business because we are training our brain to achieve success. Our brain does not naturally hardwire to success. It naturally hardwires to those first 3 things. Maybe success is number 4 on the list It doesn't want you to be successful. So here is what to do. First and foremost, realize what you are not good at. We are not all good at everything. However, you all, every single person listening and watching this today does have a zone of genius. And this is what makes you and your business great. So really, you need to focus on that. Now, once you've got to that level of success and that imposter syndrome has kicked in, I want you to remind yourself that you've done the work to get there. You have trained your brain, whether you've known it or you haven't known it, you've trained your brain to achieve that success. And so you need to learn to make it your new normal. That's a really difficult thing to do when you're there struggling and saying, I don't know what to do. But you need to learn to make it your new normal. You need to sit back and say, even though I'm feeling this, feeling like a fraud, feeling like an imposter, feeling fearful, feeling stressed, I want to step away, the other shoe's going to drop. You feel all of those aspects. What I want you to do is I want you to remember that you have trained your brain, you have wired those networks to actually achieving that success. So whatever you do, please don't take the easy route and go back to what you thought was safe, like I used to. I used to go to the safe business that I had. So train your brain and tell yourself every day you are worthy, you are deserving, you are the person who earns that amount. You're the person who goes and stands on that stage. You're the person who speaks to your message to millions. And also, if you are really still struggling and you want to know more about this, if you want to dive deeper just to help yourself or to help your clients, you are so welcome to come and join me. There's two ways we can work together. One is the Neuro Business Academy. That's the money set, the mindset, the skill set, the action set, everything to take you from your first 3 to 5 years, first 3 to 5 years of business. So literally from day one up to about 6 figures and beyond. And then secondly, if you want to really focus down on that mindset work, you can come and join me in the Empowered Mind Method. Both ways you can find at sarahasquith-vallance.com. And I want to thank you ever so much for joining me today. If you have any questions, don't forget, you can always get in touch. But I'm so pleased you joined me today, and I look forward to catching up with you very soon. So until next time, take care, everyone. Bye now.